Welcome to the Creativity, Thinking, and Education podcast with your host, Patricia Rose Upsack. Today we will be talking to the remarkable Denise Linn. Denise Linn is a powerful teacher, workshop leader, and author. When she was a teenager, she had a traumatic near-death experience. And in this experience, she entered a realm of where she experienced a profound unity with all things. Her experience was so meaningful that when she recovered her health, she started a quest to discover more about the hidden dimensions of life. Her journey led her to the Native American tribal traditions, including her own Cherokee tribe. She spent time with the Maori in New Zealand, the aborigines in Australia, and the Zulu tribe. She trained with a Hawaiian kahuna, learning ancient kahuna techniques. She traveled to the other side of the island and learned Reiki with Takata and organized the first Reiki courses for Westerners. She also was trained in shiatsu and lived in a Zen Buddhist monastery for several years. She also has dyslexia and tells us how she dealt with the challenges as she navigated school, which was very difficult because she's in her 60s. So this was a time when dyslexia didn't mean you were smart like it does now. Well, at least that's my opinion. And then as an author, she had to deal with being able to write books and her self-concept was very low because she didn't realize how brilliant she really was, and she is. So without further ado, I would love to introduce Denise Linn, and I hope you enjoy this. It has two parts. This is the second part of our series, and the first part was last week, and it was absolutely amazing and brilliant, and I do hope that you get a chance to listen to it. Thank you very much, and let's listen to Denise Linn.
So I want to be sure that we talk about some of your new projects, because you are working on some new projects.
I am so excited. I have a book coming out this November, and it's called, and there's also some oracle cards that go along with it as well. It's called Kindling the Native Spirit. And in no small way, I feel like everything I've learned in my journeys around the world, in my time with the Zulu in Africa, my time with the Aborigines, my time with my own, I'm an enrolled member of the Cherokee tribe, my time with my own tribe, and so many other tribal traditions around the world. And everything I've learned, both on outer journeys and inner journeys, I have distilled into this book. And it comes from the premise that we all carry within us the native spirit, because if we trace our ancestry back far enough, we'll find that our ancestors were native. Our ancestors knew how to communicate with the trees. They knew how to listen to the messages in the wind and the clouds. They knew how to sense energy and be at the right place at the right time. By their intuition they had to have expanded intuition, because otherwise they wouldn't survive. And we have lost our innate connection to the cycles of the planet. We've lost our innate connection to the energy flows. And so this book has lots of, like I said, everything I teach has got to be really easy, but easy to do exercises to activate that place. And in doing so, it offers so much. It offers a deeper sense of groundedness and health. I mean, there's lots of research in it. Like, they've done research that people who live, like I talk about earthing and actually touching your hands or your feet to the earth and being close to the earth, and they find that there is a almost like a bioelectrical pulse in the earth, and this is scientific, that has a profound impact on our health. And that the higher up that someone is in an apartment complex, for example, the more likely they are to get particular health conditions. And the only difference between the people on the bottom floor and the people on the top floor is the people on the bottom floor are closer to the ground. And so just things
That's
like
fascinating.
that. In this book, it's got mystical information. It talks about how to be invisible, for example. You know, the shamans know how to be invisible. I tell you how to be invisible and how to test to see if you are actually invisible. Find a dog.
Okay, I love this. As soon as the book comes out, I'm buying it.
Find a dog that always barks. You know, every neighborhood has one. You walk by, the dog always barks. Then use the method that I show you in this book, and then walk by that dog. And you can tell you're invisible because the dog won't bark.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And and how to, I mean, just mundane, well, I shouldn't say mundane, but things like how to find your true name, not your civil name, not your birth name, but your true name. And when you find your true name, and I have very specific ways to discover what your true name is, simply saying your name, you can feel this surge of strength and power move through your whole body. How to make spirit sticks, and what you do traditionally with that spirit stick. You know, you can, how in some traditions you stick it in the earth and you make sure that the morning sun, so the east morning sun can hit that stick. You leave it there for 24 hours. Very specific methods on not just how to make it, what that spirit stick can do in your life, but how to magnify the energy within it. I've taught spirit sticks forever. I went to London, and there was a woman, she was an actress and been in some, a lot of movies, and very high-end kind of home, and she invited me to her home. And when I walked into this beautiful, pristine home, as you only get in London, and right in the middle of her living room was hanging the spirit stick that she'd done with me. And those, it had fluorescent yard on it and bits and bobs. It totally did not look like it fit in this pristine house. And she said, Denise, the making of this spirit stick was the most profound experience of my life, and I wanted to put it in a place that really mattered. And so I wanted to put it in the most central place of my home. And
I love that.
And so, how to make a spirit stick, how to make an ancestor stick, how to drum. I have step-by-step drawings of how do you make a rattle, and what does the rattle do. And I talked about brain waves, how drumming and rattling actually shifts your brain waves. It puts you into those theta states, and in theta, that's where you're more likely to get visions. So, there's reason, and the same rhythm is done around the world. It's about 210 to 220 beats per minute. When you're listening to that particular beat, it changes your brainwave. I got one, step by step, how to make a dream catcher, what they do, medicine bags. I got so much tribal dancing, the power of blankets, what you can do to have your blanket give you energy all during the night. All about your hair, different times. What does hair symbolize? What is it? In many Native cultures, they talk about our hair having power and bringing this energy. And you think, no, it's dead. But, things to consider in regards to your hair and when you cut it. How to find and talk to the little people. Every culture, they don't call them fairies, they call them little people.
Right.
And I've got, even Lewis and Clark, in their diaries, they saw little people and they talk about them.
Really?
Did you know that? Yeah. They
No.
were they described them. And so it's not just like some mythical thing. Lewis and Clark described the little people that they saw.
I love it.
How when you go into that area where you suspect there might be those fairies, you take a leaf of something in that area and you put it in your mouth and you hold it in your mouth, and this attunes you to the area. Little, very specific tips like that. Talk about creating your own vision quest, the power of dreams, how to astral travel. Native cultures, they all astral travel. Shape-shifting. Oh, my God, shape-shifting is such a powerful, wonderful thing to do, because it's not just shifting into the shape of an animal and seeing the world through the eyes of an owl or the eyes of a lion, but you can also shape-shift into another person to understand why they act the way they act. You can shape-shift into an opportunity.
That's fascinating.
You can shape-shift into the being that you desire to be. So, anyway, and those are just some of the many, many, many subjects that I have in this book. So,
wow.
How to find your spirit animal. Every person has plants and minerals that are aligned to their soul. They're plant and mineral allies or stone allies. So most books talk about animal allies, but I have that, but I also have how to watch the signs and what the signs are telling you. So I am sorry I got carried away.
Oh,
but,
no.
But it's an information
this is exactly what I wanted you to do. You're wonderful. This is what our conversations are like. It was funny because when you were talking, a sort of an image came in my mind that when I first met you, it was at the International New Age Trade Show. And years ago, you know, it was like the original one, and you had been doing something, and I was watching, and then I was part of something that I was going to be like some kind of breakfast, and you were going to be there, but that was the next day. So that night, I went home and I did a meditation, and smack dab in the middle of the meditation, I saw your face, and then there was a giant white feather in front of your face.
Wow.
And I thought, now that's so odd. So the next day, when we were, like, it was one of those, like, breakfast things, you know, breakfast with Denise or whatever. Yeah, you know. So, you know, I was there, and my friend Dorothy Blackmere, she had come with me, and so we were having a good time. And so then I asked you, I said, was doing this meditation, and all of a sudden I saw your face in the meditation, because I wasn't meditating like with one of your CDs or anything. I was just doing a meditation. Yeah. And I said, I saw your face, and then there was a giant white feather right in front of the face, and your face, and then I kind of heard, remember this. Because sometimes, you know, you have meditations and it's like dreams. You don't remember anything. Yeah. And so I said, I just wondered, what would a white feather have to do with you? And you just looked at me and said, you don't know? I go, no. And so it was
completely forgot. And the reason why that's such a powerful experience, from my perspective, is my spirit name is White Feather.
Right.
And so the fact that you didn't know my name, you know, no. Like this is person, you know, one of like, I don't know, tens and tens of authors who are there, because it's, you know, they have various book publishers bring authors. You had no idea. You didn't know me, and yet you see my face with a white feather. To me, that says that you know, first of all, that we are connected, and second of all, you're open to spirit, because that must have amazed you as much as it amazed me. Like, oh my God, her name's White Feather, and I saw that white feather over her face.
Oh yeah, well it was a huge white feather. It wasn't a little one. Which, you know, which also meant, as far as I was concerned, that it was very, very important, so that it really is your spirit name, and that it's really important. But anyway, so I love that.
I love that too. I completely forgot. Thank you so much for reminding me of that.
That was just very cool. Well, we still have like a whole 20 minutes. What else would you like to talk about?
Oh.
Any ideas? I'm having so much fun. This is just wonderful. I know. I know that you've already, like, you know, you've got this book coming out, and it's wonderful. But I know there's always something on the horizon.
Well, I will. We are in the middle of a move, which is, there's kind of a lot of chaos, and chaos isn't necessarily a bad thing. You know, in Africa, when the savannas or the wetlands get stagnant, it's the chaos of the alligator in his tail that aerates the water and keeps it alive. So chaos is not necessarily a bad thing, but there's a lot of chaos in my life right now, because we're in the process of a move, and we're moving from the central coast of California up to the north. But I'd love to tell you how that move came about.
Okay.
If I could.
Sure.
And if you have anything else you want to talk about, we'll just jump in and say, Denise, let's talk about something else. And I am so happy.
I'm good with this.
I love the wilderness, and I love natural spaces, and we just were feeling it was a time for a move. And we were actually on our way up. We were driving up towards Oregon, because we thought we'd look at Oregon. I was born in Oregon. I like Oregon.
I love Oregon. It's
and it's just, you know, it's got some sweet energy.
Especially the coastline. I just love the coastline.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
It is, and it's fresh and wild. And as we were going up, and we were kind of meandering our way up, and it was at nighttime. We were going to, of course, be staying in a hotel on our way up to Oregon, but we got caught in this huge rainstorm, and it sounded like bullets pounding on our car. It was one of those kind of rainstorms, and it was so dark and dangerous. So we thought, you know what, we've got to find a place to spend the night sooner than later. And we found ourselves in this little town called Lakeport that's on a lake called Clear Lake. And it felt like we'd stepped back into the 50s, these little tiny cottages on the water, and there was a vacancy, so we took one. And so we were tired, and we both fell asleep, and in the middle of the night, I heard someone come in to our little cottage. And it was really scary because, like, there's David next to me, he's asleep, and I hear someone, and they are crashing around. And, you know, what do you do if there's an intruder? Do you hide under the covers? Do you wake your husband up and hope he comes the instant hero? I mean, what the heck do you do? So I just thought, I'm going to be really quiet, and maybe he'll go away. And then I heard this shouting. And the shouting, it was this guy, and he's shouting, "They took my toolies! They took my toolies!" And I'm like, what the hell? What? Do you know what toolies are?
I don't.
Yeah. Well, I kind of had heard the word. Toolies are the reeds, the high reeds that grow along a lake. And I'm thinking, because I kind of knew that, but I don't know anything about toolies. And he's screaming about the toolies. And then I'm thinking, wait a minute. This isn't a physical person. This is a spirit. But, so there's this spirit. I mean, but it was so real. Like, you know, I do ghost busting. I trained in ghost busting. Like, I was 19 years old. It was my first, you know, trainers. And I do ghost busting. I've trained lots of people in the various places around the world. But so I'm used to kind of dealing with the spirit realm. But it was so real. And he's yelling about his toolies. And then he says, "They took my toolies. They took my toolies, and they're not, and they used to honor me, and they don't honor me." And then I'm like, oh my God, this is a spirit. So slowly over time, he calmed down, and he told me he was the spirit of the lake. And I always thought spirit of the lakes. Wouldn't you think spirit of the lakes are female? But,
you would, actually.
Yeah, you would. But anyway, so he was male, and he said, "They used to honor me, they don't honor me." And I said, "Listen," I just kind of want him out of there. I said, "Listen, tomorrow I will honor you." And then he was gone. And so the next morning, it was supposed to rain for the next few days. I went out in the rain, took a cup of water. And this is what you do if you want to energize water. You take a cup and you just put your hand over it. And you can imagine energy or rainbow or love from your hand going into the water. So I went down to the lake and I just poured it in. And I honored the lake spirit, thinking that was a weird experience. I better keep my word.
Right.
And then, as if by magic, the rain stopped for a moment, and there was this rainbow. And I looked, and I'm kind of shortening a long story, but I looked, and the end of the rainbow was this, looked like red land on the side of the mountain. And it was like it was the end of the rainbow. And, you know, then a little bit later it started to rain again. But it was so astounding. And then I went home and I did some research, you know, when we got back, and I found out that toolies are actually really important to the ecology of a pond or a lake. And they actually help purify the water. There's a whole lot of ecological things they did. And as people moved along the lake, they took out the toolies. And so the lake has gotten more polluted and more algae and less clear. Clear Lake is no longer as clear. And, you know, it always, you know, part of a natural process. There's always some algae, but it had gotten more because people had taken out the toolies. So I was like, isn't that interesting? And to make a long story short, we ended up buying that property, and now we're building a home, and we're moving up there.
Oh, I love it.
And the day that we signed the papers for this piece of property, I had a dream. And in the dream, I saw these Native Americans dancing, and the lake spirit was among them, and they all had clothes made out of reeds, toolies. And so I did research, and I found out that the natives of that area, they used the toolies for their clothes. They slept on them. Their houses were made out of toolies. It's like they used them in forms of food. I mean, toolies were, and so no wonder they were honoring the lake spirit for the toolies, which I didn't know any of this. And so that's where we're moving, and that red earth.
So how do you get more toolies? See, I care about this lake. How do you get more toolies in the lake?
Well, I didn't make an agreement to go plant more toolies. I made an agreement with the lake spirit that I would honor him. And the way our house is situated, you can see in the distance, you can see the lake. So I will go and send energy and love. And, you know, then once I'm established there, I'll see what the toolie situation is. But it's, you know, and I probably had 100 emails from people that said, don't move to that area. It's not the best area. There's other places you should move. But in life,
it actually feels really good to me.
It feels great. And it's so important in life to listen to spirit. You know, you can listen to the opinions of other people, but if you follow that wind of intuition, if you follow that wind of what you feel, it's like I didn't have good reasons to move there. I mean, the center of the universe in that area is Safeway. Everyone talks about how many minutes they are from Safeway. Safeway is the center of the universe. It's like, oh, I'm 20 minutes from Safeway. Oh, I'm 30 minutes from Safeway. That's the center of the universe. So all of my local, you know, there's no Trader Joe's, for example.
Oh, no.
I know.
I love Trader Joe's. But we have Trader Joe's now in Colorado, and I love Trader Joe's, and people laugh at me going, what do you mean you love Trader Joe's?
No.
And I do, because a lot of times, I mean, I also love Whole Foods and other places, but you know, because I'm really lucky because I'm about 25 miles from Boulder, and you can, you know,
you have everything there.
Everything's there, yeah. So
there's no Whole Foods, no.
Oh,
but you know,
maybe you can grow a lot of stuff yourself.
Yeah, well, you know, the Safeway, it actually has a lot of organic things, so that's great.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
But when I know life will be good there, and I know it because I listen to spirit. Right. If I'd listened to my head, like, are you kidding? You're moving out in the middle of nowhere. You know, we have events and seminars and workshops in our home here, and so we plan on doing it up there. And you know, it's not easy for people to get there. Like, this is not a good, you know, for your business, for lots of reasons, but, you know, that's what my mind would say. But it's so important in life to listen to your heart, listen to the nudges from spirit, and you will go in the right direction, even if it doesn't seem right at the time.
Right. I completely agree. I think that's absolutely. And the other part of that is, so it's not easy to get to. That doesn't mean that the right people won't show up.
Oh, my intent, we're calling it Villa della Luna, the house, the home, the space of the moon. And my sense is eventually I want to start a mystery school. And
that's wonderful.
This place will be a place that's juicy and sensuous and you know, knowing that you don't need to suffer to grow, where you can grow leaps and bounds amidst beauty and delicious moments and kind of sweet, gracious energy. So that's my intent, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited about this new phase of life that was all started by an intruder in our hotel room in the middle of the night, screaming about the toolies.
Well, you know, that's the thing that's fascinating is that a lot of times we have experiences that really are life-changing or turn us on a different path, and we sometimes aren't quite sure that that's what's happening, but then we end up looking back going, oh, look, right here, when this happened, I decided to go and do this instead of what I originally thought I was going to do. And, you know, I actually believe that it's like what you and I talked about years ago, the whisperings of the universe. I think if we pay attention to that, we're always okay.
Yeah, that expression, if you listen to the whispers, you don't have to hear the screams.
Sometimes you have to live you see, you're not as stubborn as I am. I think sometimes, you know, sometimes they whisper and I don't hear them. Then they whisper a little more and I'm still ignoring them, and then they just down out. It's really funny because I don't even remember who it was that told me, but it was years ago. Some famous, like, a reader kind of person, and said that my life would always I would have a carrot in front of me so that I would be heading in the right direction, but I also would have a large boot behind me if I didn't go the right way.
Baby, that's what we call the cosmic kick.
Right. I get cosmic kicks when I get too far off the road. It's like, what do you think you're doing? Get back over here.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty much in that position. But the great thing is you have a carrot, because I think it's really important for every person to have a vision of the future. And people say, but doesn't that, you know, I lived in a Zen Buddhist monastery for 2.5 years, and the whole thing is be here now. I think it's valuable and important even to be in the moment, to be here now, but at the same time, to have a dream or a vision of what can be, because that's the carrot. That's what propels you forward.
Right.
So it's a fine balance between totally being present in the moment and kind of sucking the marrow out of every moment, but at the same time, just, and that's kind of where I am. It's like, I'm going to I have a radio show, and this week the radio show is going to be on bucket lists. Like, what's on your bucket list? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't really have a bucket list. I got to come up with a bucket list before Tuesday. I'm so much in the present moment now. I've lost my kind of vision for the future. Well, I do have a vision. I want to have, I do want to have a mystery school at Villa della Luna.
That's a beautiful vision, actually. I like that. Well, now, okay, actually, I'm really glad you brought up your radio show. Can anybody call into your radio show, or do they have to be part of something special?
Well, it's through Hay House Radio, and I think Hay House asks you to sign up but you can listen to it for free and call in, because when you call in, I give away gifts to the people who call in, and it's so much fun. I give away books or oracle cards or CDs, and it's so much fun to give away free stuff every week. So, and then if they want to listen to all the archives, they have great speakers on Hay House Radio, like Wayne Dyer's, there, and Marianne Williamson and Doreen Virtue. There's a lot of Cheryl Richardson. There's a lot of really great people who have radio shows, and every single show is in the archives. So if someone, and I think there's it's a minimal cost for the year, but it means you get every single archive, every single radio show by every single radio show host they've ever had ever. So that's kind of cool, especially if you are on a kind of a soul-searching journey. Chances are somebody has talked about something that will be helpful to you.
That's probably true.
There's something there.
So so how do you want to tell them how to sign up? What do they do?
I think there is a link on my website, DeniseLinn.com, but also just HayHouseRadio.com.
HayHouseRadio.com.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds exciting.
Have you ever heard any of those radio shows?
I haven't, because I just wrote my mental note. Sign up so that you can listen to and call Denise and call into her radio show. So I will do that.
And I love the people I talk to. I mean, I love the fact that it's interactive, and we get callers from all over the world. So I love that aspect of it. I love being able to connect. It feels, again, like cyberspace can indeed be sacred space.
Right.
They get millions of listeners, and when they first talked to me about this radio show, I'm like, and this was maybe 11 years ago, and they said an internet radio show. I'm like, nobody was going to listen to the radio on their internet. But I said yes. Boy, was I wrong.
Well, yeah, that's like years ago when I was at the Book Expo, and I went to one of those. They had like a lunch, right? And they had speakers.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff Bezos, Amazon's Jeff Bezos.
Oh,
he was just starting Amazon. I mean, it was like in his first year. And so he was there talking to people who were connected to books about what Amazon was about. And he talked about how he really struggled with the idea of starting this company, because everybody who knew anything told him, no one will buy books online. And he said, so he and his wife took a ride in their car with their golden retriever. And he said, and I did what I always do when I have a really hard decision to make. I asked my 85-year-old self if I would be disappointed in me at the end of my life if I didn't at least give this a shot. And he said, and my 85-year-old self said, you will be, so at least try and see what happens. And it's funny because, the first, I don't know how many years, he didn't make enough money to ever, and the newspapers loved to report Amazon still in the red. And I just, I thought, yeah, look at him now, So everybody told him that nobody would buy books online. Now they buy all kinds of things from Amazon. I am so glad for Amazon in our new place, because there's not really shopping.
we will probably buy everything on Amazon.
Well, I buy a lot of things from Amazon, but I love bookstores. I do. I love to go into bookstores. I like to feel the books and look at the books and hold the books, and it's because, and I know that, and I have a Kindle. I have an iPad, and I can use, I have Kindle off of you can get Kindle and put it on, and so I read books on Kindle, but I also mostly read books in person, because I like the feel of the paper, and I like reading the book just like a friend, so it's just fun.
You have been listening to Patricia Rose Upsack, your host, talking to the remarkable and amazing Denise Linn. Thank you for joining us here at Creativity, Thinking, and Education Podcast. Please visit us at happyteachershappystudents.com. Next week we will be interviewing and talking to the remarkable and renowned book expert. He's a book marketing expert, and he's going to be giving us an entire hour over 2 weeks period of tips for authors who are just starting out and even people who've been around for a long time. He really is just, a joy, and it's been fascinating and interesting to talk to him. So please join us next week, next Tuesday, and we will be talking to John Kramer. Please visit us again at happyteachershappystudents.com. And if you find value in this podcast and the message that we're trying to spread, then click the subscribe button and give my show a review. I am so excited to be able to share the timeless wisdom of all of the guests that we have coming up. Thank you very much and have a wonderful week.